My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini, and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Yo, so we're going to talk about a bit about what happened in Rome. Mostly, though, look ahead to some of the quarterfinal matches on the WTA side that have just been set up. And of course, on the men's tomorrow, it's that big round 4 day. Some of these matches we've already had the chance to preview yesterday, already had the chance to talk about it. Some of them, though, the top half that was set today. Hello, Vansh. What did you watch most recently in Rome today?
Yeah, today was obviously WTA, more WTA heavy, I would say, because of the round of 16 all being in the same day. Kind of like that for the men tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, mostly it was just fresh off of watching the Sabalenka Kostyuk second, beating in a row in a round of 16, third tiebreak, won again by Sabalenka. Incredible second set, 94 minutes, really high quality. Kostyuk finally converted on like her 13th or 14th breakpoint chance, and she was still like fighting an uphill battle even though she served for the second set. So that was an incredible contrast every time they both face. But once again, it just kind of shows that Sabalenka right now in the really big pressure situations and just generally the last 9 or 10 months is the best player in the world. So she showed that again, and now she plays Zhang Xinwen, who she leads 6-0 in the head-to-head. Zhang is back in form. Watched a little bit of the end of the first set, start of the second against Bianca, and so I guess that's where we're headed there. More chalk on the WTA top half of the draw with Andreeva and Coco too.
Yeah, I mean, Sabalenka right now just kind of finds a way, regardless of what's happening, whether it's Kenin or Kostyuk pushing her for the second week in a row. Obviously, Marta, we talked about this earlier in the week, that she was kind of unlucky with the seeding and the fact that it was done using the rankings pre-Madrid, not pre-Rome. But in a way, I mean, she still kind of fulfilled, I suppose, her destiny in this event. She reached the Sabalenka fourth round, just wasn't able to do much there, of course, despite coming pretty close in the second set. And indeed, Sabalenka against Zhang right now. And whereas I'd say that Sabalenka probably isn't the strongest in like Rome, Roland Garros, these aren't the events where I'm thinking, oh yeah, she's going to dominate here. I kind of think it doesn't really change much with Qinwen Zhang. This matchup has just been horrible for Qinwen. Obviously, Arena hitting such a big ball of both wings. She's on the back foot a lot more than she usually likes. I have to give Qinwen credit, though. I mean, I didn't really realize that, like, she actually has reached, 3 WTA 1000 quarterfinals this season already. Like, back-to-back Indian Wells, Miami. It's so easy to forget that. Like, her entire season before this week is just so forgettable when I think about it. And then I look at the results and they actually aren't that bad. It's maybe just like Australia that's making you think that. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't think Rome actually helps her that much here. She almost beat Arena, I guess, in Wuhan last year, at least was pretty competitive. I'd expect this one to be a little easier.
Yeah, compared to Wuhan, I definitely expect it to be easier. I have to say Sabalenka looks a lot more complete, even 1 year later on these slower courts than she did the year before, because I remember last year she was kind of scraping by Svitolina, and it was like a real tussle. And, she was coming off of the run in Madrid, losing that final to Iga, and we kind of weren't sure whether she was going to be able to put it back-to-back weeks together, whereas now you feel like, wow, she has a real chance to maybe even run the table. But yeah, Zhang, like three quarterfinals this year, her season feels underwhelming also because you look at the race and she was outside the top 30 before this week, and I think it was like a 9-7 record on the year. But like that stretch, Indian Wells, Miami, Charleston, she didn't play bad at all. Just ran into Iga Arena and lost a little earlier in Charleston. But now she's been playing well this week. I still just think Sabalenka with just how complete she's playing right now, and just with Kinwen, yeah, the clay gives her a little bit more time. She's definitely in a few more rallies, but I just don't think against Serena with the kind of power tennis she's playing right now and the more options in her game compared to a year ago, I just don't see it being that close. Like Wuhan, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if we get really one tight set, or maybe we get a more competitive match than like let's say the hardcore encounters so far. But yeah, I think most likely it's going to be 7-0.
Yeah, I kind of tend to think that Kenin had a much better shot at and Sabalenka on Zheng will. But of course, who knows? Maybe some sort of like fatigue element will also start kicking in at some point for Arena. But yeah, right now she just finds a way. She is like a winning machine outside of the Middle East swing this season. Lewis in the chat says Svitolina number 19 in Rome and number 20 at Roland Garros. Is this like 19th title, 20th title or something like that?
Title.
Okay. Bold prediction, but why not?
Yeah.
Maybe let's mention Svitolina now then. I mean, she dispatched the conqueror of Iga Świątek, obviously, Daniel Collins. That was today. And next up, she is going to face, who is it? Peyton Stearns?
No, yeah, she's going to be playing.
Yeah.
She's going to be playing Peyton. Yeah, because Peyton beat Osaka.
Yeah, that's tomorrow because that's bottom half. Sabalenka and Zheng are also Gauff Andreeva, which we're going to touch soon. We're going to mention that later as well, but that's on Wednesday. Whereas tomorrow we're going to have two women's singles quarterfinals. One of them is, of course, Svitolina against Stearns after Peyton Stearns dispatched Osaka today, vomited on the court at least twice, was dead by the end of the match, but was able to kind of will herself through, especially all these breakpoints late in the third set just before the breaker. The breaker from 2-4 down, I guess Naomi kind of handed it to her. But before, she definitely had to just like keep rolling with that super heavy forehand, keep making Naomi work for it defensively, which right now she's capable of. So definitely a good effort. There was this insane forehand down the line she hit as well, which, at that point she had 0 legs and she just basically slaps that down the line. It works. I think it's like 4-5 maybe. I don't remember in the third set. But it was definitely quite a beautiful shot. And, Svitolina right now, I guess a very different challenge. And the fact that she's not getting a day off, that might be a big problem for Peyton.
Yeah, it was a big mental hurdle for her to win these matches against Keys and Naomi, because the last couple of years she's been in so many of these like encounters in these 7-5, 7-6 in the thirds against quality players and hasn't gotten over the line. So the fact that she is now is pretty big for her, mentally. And like you said, that was an insane effort at the end against Naomi to save all those break points at 4-all in the third, and then also come back from love 2 and then come back from 2-4 in the tie break. But I wonder how much she has left. It helps that it's at night, so that'll give her a little more time maybe to recover. But I think I'm leaning towards Svitolina winning that one, just because Svitolina's ball striking this whole year and just how many matches she's winning and the confidence she's at right now, it just takes a really high level to beat her. Like she's 7th in the race, which feels really appropriate. And she loves Rome as well. She's won here twice. So and this is the first time they're playing. But I love Stearns' forehand and physicality and kick serve on the surface. Like it bodes really well. But I think, just the fatigue factor will probably come into play maybe. And also just how Svitolina's level doesn't seem to dip throughout these matches a ton. So I'm favoring Alina in that one.
Yeah, after what Peyton went through today, it's kind of tough to imagine her winning this tomorrow, to be honest. Svitolina also, I mean, as you said, very high in the rankings for this year, but probably still not talked about enough. Like, she had a very good Sunshine double. She had the Australian Open quarterfinal. Like, she's legit been one of the best players in the world this year. And I don't feel like she has like that much to show for it in terms of big results. Of course, she just won Strasbourg? No. Rouen, right? Rouen, yeah, another French city. Strasbourg is yet to come. But yeah, I mean, I don't think like besides that title, obviously, she has that much to show for it. But she seems like definitely one of the best players in the world at the moment, perhaps especially on clay. So yeah, I do think that Svitolina is probably going to be moving through here, and she seems like a very dangerous player here, especially considering that bottom half looks quite wide open compared to all the names that we have in the top half. Let's maybe just like wrap it up right now, because in that bottom half, so tomorrow as well, we have Paolini playing against Schneider. Schneider, I mean, Madrid, up until Madrid and Rome, I guess she was like doing almost nothing this season. But now it seems like she's back. Of course, she had, well, I don't know if it means much now, but she had a pretty competitive match against Swiatek in Madrid, where, she loses the first set in a bagel, but after that really pushes her. And right now it just seems like she's firing on all cylinders, despite that partnership with Dinara Safina not working out.
Yeah, and pretty impressive her scores this week, just in general, like against Christiane and against Martin. She really stepped it up even another level, and she's looking really good in like singles and doubles, and just playing, just the level. I feel like dipped a little bit for her, like Indian Wells, Miami, Charleston. Like it wasn't the best, but she's found it back again. And this partnership with Safina, I think they're no longer working together, right? But it hasn't affected the results in Rome, so that'll be interesting to follow. But I like the way she's playing right now. But at the same time, Paolini as well. She's gotten her season back on track. We're doing well in Miami and Stuttgart. A little blip in Madrid where she was sick, and lost to Sakari. But yeah, this is a really interesting one. I'm probably slightly leaning Paolini just because of the home crowd factor, and just kind of watching the way her heaviness on this surface and getting to the net, and just how much she's enjoying the game right now and playing. Like she got through today 7-5, 6-2 against Ostapenko and just absorbed Ostapenko's power really well. So I wonder if it'll be any different against Schneider. But I think I'm maybe slightly favoring Jasmine in that one.
I'm going to be speaking facts now. Get ready. Schneider has the higher upside. Schneider, it's time. It's time. I'm sorry, Jasmine. You had your run, but it's time. Now, obviously, it's not a given, absolutely. Paolini is always kind of like stuck in that weird mode for me where seemingly she really like shouldn't be beating fellow top players, but actually she is. She surprises you at the WTA finals. She surprises you time and time again this year. So yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want to just like write her off for the umpteenth time and just be wrong about it. But Schneider definitely is improving, and after winning 4 titles this season, finally it seems like she's hitting her level. Mertens, that was another player that she hadn't beaten in 2 meetings, and clearly that was not a problem today for the Russian. Well, there was also this pretty big match today between 2 of the most marketable players on tour, probably, Coco Gauff and Emma Raducanu. And it was probably to be expected that on clay, at least, it wasn't going to be amazing. And it was. I mean, personally, I watched like 2 or 3 games. I just saw, okay, yeah, this is exactly what you'd think it will be. And I just didn't come back to the match at all.
Yeah, it was kind of what I expected. I didn't expect the scoreline maybe that we got, but I expected Gauff to probably win in straights. Just force just make Emma play a lot of balls, track everything down. The high heavy spin, the Raducanu not able to keep up that consistency. Is a better level from her this week. Better tennis, but she kind of had nothing to show for it in this match. And yeah, I kind of was expecting Coco to, especially on this surface, these conditions. It just didn't give Emma much of a chance going in. So yeah, but I'm interested to see what it's like against Mira, because last week or in Madrid they played and Coco screeched out that first set, and then Andreeva kind of went away. So I wonder if, yeah, that rivalry is going to be fascinating for me for the next 10 years. Coco and Mira.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's not much of a rivalry. It's the one where Mira tends to have some like meltdown every single time. In 2023 Roland Garros, that was probably more physical than mental at the time, although probably both. Just the intensity that they were playing with in the opening set, she wasn't able to keep it up. And of course, Madrid, yeah, that was one where we probably didn't really expect it, because 2023 Roland Garros, I mean, Mira was a kid. But now, she's already won 2 WTA 1000 titles, and she's playing Coco in Madrid. She has these 2 set points. Like, why would she just collapse like that all of a sudden? But it was a performance that kind of reminded us, oh yeah, I mean, she's still not a very experienced player, let's say. Yeah, definitely could be bothersome, the Gauff defense once more for her. Today, Andreeva beats Clara Tauson, and if somebody likes, let's say, astronomical signs or whatever, then you can say that she actually beat Clara on the way to the previous 2 WTA 1000s. So, well, there's some sort of a story there, I suppose. But that was actually a match that ended up being a little bit more, I guess, competitive than expected given the conditions. Seems clear that when they are playing Mirra and Coco, it's the Russian prodigy that is like more, I don't know, it just feels a little bit more pressure to try to hit through the opponent, and not necessarily, that has enough to make it work. It's not her like common, natural, regular game. So she kind of has to step out of the comfort zone, or at least that's how she feels, and that's what she's been trying to do. So yeah, it's difficult. I mean, in Madrid, I was definitely saying that Andreeva is the favorite. Now I'm not so sure about watching after watching their previous encounter.
Yeah, I'm not so sure either. Just because Coco seems to find a way to read Mira's change of directions, especially backhand down the line. She doesn't get as caught off guard. She's able to extend the rallies, make it really tough for Mira to hit through, and Mira just kind of breaks down mentally every time. Like you're saying, the Roland Garros match comes to mind, certainly for me too. Although when Mira was like 15, but still 16 maybe. But yeah, so I probably just slightly lean Coco. I wouldn't be surprised though if it went 3 and if Mira won. But I just based on their last few meetings, based on what I've seen this week, and kind of the play style matchup against each other, I'm probably giving a slight edge to Coco.
Yeah, when it comes to the poll that we just had on the screen, it seems like the champion will probably come out of that Sabalenka, Gauff, Andreeva cluster. I mean, they all definitely can. Just no, I'm not even gonna comment on that again. Anyway, I mean, I do think the champion should come out of this cluster for sure. Unless, of course, there's a Svitolina massive run or something like that. But, obviously she's got it a little easier because she only would need to make one upset. But these 3 players, I mean, they've pretty much been, 2 of them have been the best players this season. And Gauff right now seems to be back in that top shape as well. During this, how do we call it? European clay double, Mediterranean clay double.
Yeah.
Well, whatever. Madrid and Rome.
What is that? What is
Dinara
the
Safina double.
Is that Madrid, Rome, and RG? Is that the trouble?
Let's just call it the Dinara Safina double. I think that works the best, probably. So yeah, I mean, in as I said, in Madrid, I was definitely favoring Mirra over Coco, but not anymore considering the circumstances. Looks closer, and it looks like that matchup is in her head a little bit. So yeah, not clear on that. Anyway, I think we talked about all the women's matches that we'll have, as I mentioned earlier, top half on Wednesday, bottom half tomorrow. However, tomorrow on the men's side is that day where we have a ton of matches, all the 4th rounds, probably the best day of the event when it comes to men's action, just like today was probably the best day of the event in terms of women's action. Some of these we were already talking about yesterday, so obviously the ones that were already set in the bottom half. So like Draper Mute and stuff like that, Musetti, Medvedev as well, I believe, Fields Zverev definitely. So let's focus on the matches that we just saw today, or the players that we were able to watch today, probably the biggest, definitely the biggest one, is going to be Cerundolo against Sinner, because whereas at the beginning of the week we said that Yannick Sinner will have a pretty tough opening 3 rounds draw in Rome, it kind of eased up on him today with Jesper de Jong, especially with Jesper struggling physically later on. But now this is over, right? Now, in terms of, obviously, I'm not saying that Yannick's run is over. Maybe I am. Let's see. I'm going to tell you in a couple of minutes. But it's over in terms of, bed of roses type of draw. No, this is where it gets heavy. And he's playing one of the best players in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where it gets really serious. This is where we see where Sinner's level really is at on clay and such. He looked good, all things considered, in his first 2 matches. A bit of a wobble at the end of the second set in his first round, and then here today he had the 2-break lead. Jesper gets it back. Jesper also got injured in the third set, even though Yannick was probably going to cruise to that anyway. So I think here's where we really see how ready Sinner is to challenge the best players right now on clay. Because Cerundolo, this is the most consistent level I've seen for him from 3 months in a row. And he also, I know Sinner was not as good as he is now, but he also beat him in the 4th round here in Rome 2 years ago, right? 2023. So he does have something he can sort of draw on, and honestly,
pre-puke.
But still, Sinner was good that part of the year, right? It's not like nothing, So, but I guess, yeah. Where do you come out on it? Because if Sinner does win this match, you almost feel like he's not going to lose until at least the final.
I think he's in the final if he wins this match. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. For a number of reasons. Some of the opponents that he's just going to face, he either owns them in the head-to-heads, or they're going to be pretty tired by the time they reach them. They reach him. So yeah, I do think this is the crucial matchup in terms of Yannick getting to the final or not. And I think Cerundolo, yeah, why not? He really is one of the best players on the planet right now. He's in such good form and is playing with insane confidence. I just hope he doesn't fold the same way that he did against Alcaraz in Monte Carlo, because that was kind of one of his weakest moments over the last 3-4 months. Hopefully this time, he's giving it a good go until the end, and whether that gives him the win or whether Yannick is still strong enough to prevail, I don't know. But yeah, to me seems like definitely Cerundolo has a shot here, which maybe in a couple of weeks won't be, true anymore. Yeah, but right now, probably, you would imagine at least that Yannick will be a little bit more vulnerable than generally. That said, I don't think his first 2 matches gave us that much in terms of actually telling us whether he is or not. But Cerundolo, yeah, it's the 4th round. He obviously still isn't that high in the rankings, but is he one of the 5 best players in this event? Probably, at least the ones that are still here. Rune Fran the same day as Sinner Altmaier? No. Sinner Altmaier was in the 2nd round, and Rune Fran was 4th round. So
4th round, yeah.
So definitely not. Well, Joao, that's my worry as well. That unfortunately that might happen to him. But,
yeah, we've seen that even in this great part of I mentioned the consistency, but he's kind of also folded in some of these matches. Like against Grigor, he had the match point in Miami. Against Shelton, he probably definitely should have won that one in the Munich semis. Yeah. You mentioned the Alcaraz one. And then also even against Ruud, he was 3 for 18 on break points and had leads in both sets in the semis. So I don't know. I hope that the effort level and the motivation and the kind of the footwork stays on point, and that he's able to kind of compete super hard from first ball to last and give himself the best chance. Because this might be his best shot really all year when it comes to beating Yannick.
First tournament back, that's where you want to play the guy. Maybe the 2nd round would have been more ideal, but even the 4th round is still, at least raising your chances. By how much? Is it enough? We'll see, but definitely at least improving his chances. Casper Ruud was brought up in the chat by Matthew. I just kind of think that by the time he reaches Yannick in the quarters, he's probably going to be too dead after Madrid. But of course, he is one of the best clay court players on the planet. He's just won his first ATP 1000. Today against Berrettini, another retirement for Matteo. I think that completes the double, right? Both in Madrid and Rome. So it's not like Casper played the full match, but still over a set. It was pretty physical. In the long run, I think he's probably gonna run out of steam at some point. But at least with this, he keeps himself in decent shape probably. And now of course we'll be playing his forefront tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, Rude still might be okay, maybe physically, just because of the retirement today. Maybe the extra day will help him. And then it depends on how much Sinner's quality comes into play if that ends up happening in the quarterfinal, and if it's Fran, if he's able to back it up. But
also the Munar Rude matchup, right? I mean, that's
that's tricky, right? Like Munar this week, barely losing many games. And also, given their last 2 meetings in Australia and Dallas,
there's some history there. There's some history there. Even though on clay, Ruud won all 3 times, I think, but that was also way back in the past. There is some history there to suggest Jaume might push him closer than you'd think.
I think he might. I think he has a good shot of making it really close. Don't know whether he wins. It's still probably back Ruud, but there is some history there. Like you said, he does have a win.
Yeah, it's also 5-1 Santiago Challenger 2016. It's clay, I guess, even though that's Jaume's typically favorite surface, although not this year. You would think that Casper, obviously for him, that's also a boost. But no, I mean, the Spaniard pushed him so close this year twice already. I think that's actually going to be pretty competitive. Which, of course, is also coming from the fact that Casper was playing in Madrid and had such a long week there. But yeah, Munar, I think might have a shot here. It's definitely that's what this year, at least so far, would suggest. Munar was also very close to losing in his opening match to Barrios Vera. If Barrios Vera didn't start cramping, I don't think he loses. I don't think he wins that. But seems like that kind of opened him up, and he is finding a good run again after struggling to begin the clay season, which was, of course, pretty surprising considering his hardcore improvements this year. Someone who also was struggling and, a lot of injuries over the last year or so was Hubert Hurkacz, but he's in the forefront now. And we've got him playing Jakub Mensik, who, I mean, what do you think about him right now? Like, is he still a little untested in the conditions in Rome? But if you look at that matchup, Hurkacz, Mensik, I mean, they played once. It was a 5-setter. If Mensik is a bit more developed physically by then, he probably wins that.
Yeah. I kind of see Mensik as like a better version of Hubie in almost every way. So,
in many ways, yeah.
So I kind of think, that matchup is obviously going to come down to finer margins. He'll be playing a little bit better now, which is certainly way better than 60 in the world. So, hopefully he can get that going, because he also has those Halle points coming up, and he has to get to like the 4th round of RG as well to equal that result. So, and also defending points here. So kind of a brutal stretch for him. So I feel like he really needs a win like that. But at the same time, I would back Mensik right now.
Yeah, Mensik is the braver player, definitely. They move pretty similarly defensively, at least. They have the big serve. They have the similar, posture. There was a lot, obviously, said about that when Mensik was coming up in the juniors, when he was really playing, still relying on the consistency a little bit more than on his power, and definitely was even more closer to Hurkacz's playstyle at the time. But as time sort of goes on, I think we're all realizing now that he is just a more aggressive version of that game, someone with actual, attacking baseline game, whereas for Hurkacz it's often a struggle. And seems like Mensik is just kind of the better Hurkacz to me. So this might be a tough one for the poll in terms of potentially winning that one. And we also have Alex de Minaur, who is just doing an Alex de Minaur, right? I mean, winning the matches he should. Now the question is whether the match against Tommy Paul, whether that's something he should be winning on clay or not.
Good question, right? Because Tommy doesn't have a win in that one, and it's 5-0. I mean, they haven't played in a couple of years now.
It is.
and Tommy has looked better. But who do you back more under pressure? Maybe Alex, maybe just because, yeah, like he's kind of that player right now where it's like he's kind of good enough to make the clay in the clay court tournaments as well. Like just good enough to get by the early rounds with ease, and then he kind of runs into an opponent like this who can challenge him in many different ways with a pretty complete game. But I don't know if Tommy has that one signature weapon right now that will get him over the line against the defense of Alex. So that head-to-head is something that, yeah, regardless, I mean, they played on slow, hard courts. Like, for example, Acapulco, they played that final. That was compelling. Tommy certainly had some chances, but Minaur was just able to force a few too many errors off the Tommy forehand and in defense. So, yeah, I don't know. I probably lean Alex slightly, but if it went the other way, it wouldn't really shock me.
Yeah, that 5-0 is insane. I was just gonna say that too. Sure, I guess, but no, they should be just like grinding it out, so physical between them, I imagine. And you would expect that Tommy gets one, at least at some point. Is Clay actually helpful in this matchup for him? I don't know, maybe. Like this definitely isn't one of these matches where just like entering that and thinking, okay, Minaur has to win. Is he still the slight favorite? Maybe. I mean, it would definitely be very fitting for his season if he kept going. And yeah, again, just had the type of event where he's progressing, and then there's a player that Musetti type, like in the two of the three most recent clay events he played. I guess with Alex though, he is in that third quarter, right? Sorry, I mean second quarter. So he would then play Hurkacz or Menchik, and maybe that would even be an easier matchup for him than Tommy Paul. Obviously, the most Alex de Minaur event, I guess, here would be to reach the semis and lose to Sinner without winning a set.
Yes.
So maybe that's what it's going to be. I mean, becoming mental for Tommy, sure, but the last match was in August 23, so actually no, even 23 Los Cabos, was that the year when it was held in February? No, that was still August.
Yeah, Los Cabos I think is their last matchup, right? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, Los Cabos February, that was only 24, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean August 2023, I think he's had a lot of time to potentially reset and come up with some new energy playing Alex. Well, obviously they had a Rome matchup. They're only one on clay. Paul said he's motivated to get one back on Alex. I can imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if this is the right moment. So I'd probably lean slightly Alex.
Tough to say. I mean, de Minaur is kind of similar to Paolini in that sense that it's very tempting to just say, yeah, the other player has a higher upside, and he probably does, but the other player doesn't get the results and the consistency of wins that Alex is able to, and then it's tough to it's easy to underestimate the guy, let's say, and he's just been pretty much a menace this season. You cannot beat him unless you're like top 10, Alex de Minaur. So it's tough to say, that's for sure. I think that head to head probably best to like keep it in mind, but I wouldn't say it's like a factor that just screams at me and tells me, oh yeah, so once more it's definitely has to happen. Obviously Rocha and Faria will also play soon, so we're gonna see if another head-to-head like that will get turned around or not. I think that despite the head-to-head, Jaime is still the betting favorite, but I don't know. I mean, it's a wild matchup. As Justice here, 0-5 always looked so weird to me. 0 and 6, just the same. Faria withdrew, really? Oh no. Miller withdrew, I saw, but I didn't know Faria did too. Oh, that's a shame. That's two big names. That's like two of the tournament favorites. But obviously Faria was injured in Rome and he retired in his second round qualifying match. So I guess that makes sense. But that's a shame we're not gonna get Faria Rocha. I was excited to see, the next chapter of that rivalry for sure. And yeah, Ridi, Elias, definitely. Joao, I agree. We will be there. I don't know if you will be there in person. I will be there on the stream tomorrow. And yes, Khachanov Alcaraz, I don't think we touched on yesterday. Are we Carlos experts? Would you say that much?
We're Carlos connoisseurs. We're
Maybe we should
we cover
invite
him.
Scott.
We cover
Scott
him in
has
depth.
been writing some insane tweets about Carlos.
But yeah, sure. I mean, why not? If you want to do a preview about this, because this match, if he wins this, Carlos would actually have made the quarterfinals of every big event. I think, like all 15 tournaments, like ATP Finals, Olympics, the Slams, Masters. He would have, completed the set. So he would have 15 out of 15 big event quarterfinals, and so he joined the big four and Medvedev, which is pretty insane still at 22. But obviously, we expect more of him, much more, really. And we
Yeah,
expect
I
him
mean,
to be
for
in channel,
guys
right?
like Alcaraz, I think quarterfinal stats. If Marcos Giron does that, call me and yeah, I'm gonna tweet about it. But if like Carlos
Yes.
does that, I really don't give too much
I
of a
know
damn.
it feels like whatever. It's just another thing. Yeah.
But it is, of course, funny
it's like
because
reaching 400 wins or 300 wins that players get asked about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're
But
like, oh, no.
you know what? I mean, Monte Carlo was that event, right? That Carlos only played once. Obviously, that was just
Yes.
one match, so kind of different to Rome. But he only played it once and he won it. Rome, he only played it once and he won it. I mean, will he win it? Is that's a possibility, I guess.
Yeah. But the
And
Khachanov matchup specifically,
mhm.
right? He's kind of dominated their four matches so far. There hasn't really been too much adversity. Maybe when they played in Madrid, maybe it was slightly more competitive in 23, but it's just kind of Khachanov being Khachanov, right? Like winning the matches he's kind of supposed to win, a really good litmus test player to be in the top 15, top 20, but then, can he really challenge Carlos?
Famously, or rather maybe infamously, had a 20+ losing streak against the top 10. Still,
Yeah.
I think the lopsided nature of this head-to-head is a little too much. Like Khachanov is so tough to play against, right? Just so physical, strong, consistent. You would
Yeah.
imagine that there's a day somewhere in their rivalry where Carlos just like, he's basically on an error spree and Khachanov takes advantage. I don't think it will happen tomorrow, probably. I still think that Alcaraz is, a pretty big favorite for Roland Garros at the moment, unless Sinner takes this title and especially beating him in the process. And I just don't really think he's going to lose to, I don't know, maybe nobody but Sinner at this event. Mertens and Khachanov, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty comparable. Yeah, it's a good comp, actually.
Interesting call there from the producer, who I think maybe has misread the head-to-head. It's 4-0 in the other direction. Joao is thinking that Carlos will probably win the event. And yeah, I'd say so. I mean, the Sinner matchup, that would be something that would definitely be like, okay, yeah, so this might actually change something ahead of Roland Garros. This might actually be a power rankings difference maker. But for the time being, he does look like the favorite still, for sure.
He does, but I still think the quarters and semis, that's where we'll really learn where he's at, right? If he has to play, let's say, Draper and then one of Musetti, Fils, or Zverev, that won't be easy. So
yeah, it's not. I guess he's already lost to Draper, almost lost to Fils, Musetti. I was just talking about this season. I know he's lost to Musetti before, but not this season. But yeah, I suppose so. Sinner for the calendar slam, according to Matthew. If he wins Roland Garros, we're starting the conversation for sure. But Carlos in Rome losing to Jack, no way. I mean, Carlos already lost to him in Indian Wells. That was also a temple of Alcaraz. In fact, much more than Rome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Draper, against Mute.
Oh, we talked about it yesterday, so we don't really need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really need to do that. I think both of us were just thinking that Mute, after the insane thriller, he's not really gonna be that much of a threat probably to Jack tomorrow. But see. Matthew was talking about a Sinner 2017 calendar slam. Yeah, that would be very impressive. I think it was like Bergamo 18, was it, that Sinner won and his rise started? Or 19, maybe 2018.
Maybe 19, yeah.
19. He definitely beat Marcora in the final. I guess that must have been 18. Anyway, never mind.
Okay.
That's not too important right now. The producer is very heavy on the Draper. I don't know. What's
Yeah,
the
I
what's
gotta say,
the
though, I mean, he's
antonym of
been-
hype train?
He has been the best player from, like, let's say February to April. Like, it's close between him and Carlos, but that's why this matchup I think will be important to kind of see, because if Draper is able to beat Carlos now on every surface, that's another rival that Carlos really has to be. Yeah, you kind of have to add to the list.
Well, the Draper haters will still say that best of 3. Wait until he beats.
Yes, best of 3 definitely helps Jack for sure. Yes.
No, I'm kind of kidding. Actually, they almost played at Roland Garros last year, didn't they? Because Jesper de Jong defeated Jack Draper and then lost to Carlos Alcaraz, which is pretty funny to think about. Of course, Jack was at the time unseeded. Jack and Emma show. We did not give Emma much time today, but Jack, we are for whatever reason, even though we're not previewing him. Ashley is asking who are our picks to win Rome. I mean, it's just still Sabalenka and Alcaraz.
Yeah. I mean, Sabalenka on the women's side for me, and then men's. That's why it depends on the Cerundolo Sinner match, but yeah, I'd probably lean Carlos.
But you still wouldn't make Sinner the favorite if he beats Fran, right?
Yeah. I think he gets to the final, but
and he could easily beat Carlos. But I think if they meet in the final, Carlos will be the favorite, like marginally still.
Mm-hmm.
Sabalenka has more rivals. Yeah, as I said earlier, like Sabalenka, Gauff, Andreeva, that cluster in the top half, like that's, could be them, but one of them will be the favorite to win the title. Yeah. Svitolina, according to Luis, who was there earlier. And I like that shout. Yeah. I mean, she seems like the strongest player in the bottom half. Would only have to beat one of Sabalenka, Gauff, Andreeva. Why not? So yeah, I mean, I guess we pretty much covered it.
Yep. I think that's about it.
Good stuff. Nobody asking about the crazy upset today of Borelli Vavasori against Bondioli Cagnato. I wish I watched it. I only saw the result later. Which, even for doubles standards, that was insane. Gauff is winning Roland Garros. Why not? It does look pretty open right now. No idea what sort of Iga Świątek we're going to get there. Feels like she's very draw reliant this year, much more than in previous campaigns. So why not? And the last 3 years, she only lost to Iga. I mean, Coco only lost to Iga, of course. Go for it.
Yeah, Gauff. Gauff definitely has a chance. I'd probably take the field right now. That question.
Yeah, I mean, I said before, first of all, that Alcaraz to me is the bigger favorite to win Roland Garros than Świątek, which already kind of answers it, I guess, since I probably wouldn't take him over the field on the men's side. And yeah, I mean, how does that compare in previous years? Obviously, it's completely different. It's kind of like the Gauff matchup we had recently, where for the first time in the rivalry, on clay at least, for the first time of the rivalry on clay, we didn't know who the favorite was. And it's just something that never happened since Iga won Roland Garros for the first time since 2021. So when she was trying to defend it for the first time, she's always been the overwhelming favorite for the French. And that this is the first time it's just not like that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to make her the favorite, it would not be based on anything recently. It would just be based on pure history and just the chance that the Iga Świątek of old could reappear when she steps on Chatrier. But I'm not one of those people right now.
Matthew, while usually I love answering a question like this, it's 6 challengers this week, and 2 of them are the 175s, where basically any match you should watch. So honestly, it's a crazy time. Challenger fans this week are just like sitting in front of 5 screens, and they don't know what to do. I mean, I imagine most people will be kind of ignoring Bogota, but we've got 5 challengers, let's say, in the Mediterranean area, right? So Bordeaux, Turin, Tunis, Huerash, and Zagreb. And of course, Bordeaux and Turin are the ones that will catch the most attention. I think in Bordeaux tomorrow, probably Wawrinka playing Billy Harris in the evening. That's the best one. Probably another loss coming for Billy. That top 100 dream is getting a little further away from him now. And in Turin, I think early in the day, there's Vasami against Seng. The other a very talented Italian youngster, China, is playing Cerundolo as well. Of course, Juan Manuel Cerundolo, not Fran. So I think these are kind of good to check out for sure. And I'm sure there's more in Zagreb and Huerash. Earlier, Joao mentioned in the chat that Ridi will play Elias. Of course, Leandro just coming back after the 2 knee surgeries. But yeah, I mean, basically there's everything, and because of 5 challengers in pretty much the same time zone, it's just impossible to keep track of everything.
Yes, and you've got a top 30 player playing in Bordeaux as well, and he's the number 1 seed, Brandon Nakashima.
He's like 28 or something like that. Okay,
yeah.
There was also 30 something Koboli. Is Koboli like 31 in Turin? Something like that. Joao, I mean, look at his last year's results on clay, by the way. Like, they were fine. he was actually getting decent results on clay. And he started this clay swing as well, playing well, losing tight matches. But now it seems like he's just like completely lost it, you know? It's not the first time we've seen players do that, like get close to the top 100 and then suddenly they just start playing much worse, and the mental side of it is too much. But I don't think it was a horrible idea in practice. Like, he was about 103 in the rankings. Like, if he went to play the Asian swing, he would have done it for sure. But it seemed like even on clay, he's going to do that. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think he's going to do this. Get top 100 before Wimbledon? No shot. I mean, he's defending points, big points every week on the grass. Like, I think the chance is almost gone now. He has like 1 or 2 more weeks. Let's say he wins Birmingham, for example, then I guess he can cover for it. But yeah, at this point, the guy has to like either do something insane on clay, which I don't think it will happen in Bordeaux. So I guess Roland Garros, he would have to qualify and win like 2 rounds, or just win a grass challenger before he starts dropping points from Queens and Eastbourne. But it's probably done. I think Billy Harris will end his career with a career high 101. Unfortunately, just like Tim van Rijthoven. Is Carlos' movement hampered at all? I notice he's wearing a knee brace. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think his movement is hampered.
Yeah, I don't think the movement is hampered. But something else on my mind. Medvedev. What have you made of him this clay season and also in Rome? Like, does he have any shot at going deep, winning a title here?
No. I mean, winning the title, no. Going deep, probably not. I mean, he's probably losing tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, Medvedev right now is just so weird because he does well at the events where you don't expect it, and he loses to Minaur in Miami. And honestly, I think at this point I just kind of lost any interest in his game right now. He just became irrelevant. He's like Tsitsipas last year. Like, I don't really look at Daniel Medvedev right now, because even if he wins 1 or 2 matches at an event.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have Musetti as the favorite, although, I think his form has gotten better since the Alex de Minaur loss in Monte Carlo. But at the same time, no, I don't think he's going to win. I don't think. I would say like semis maximum.
Could he lose to in Madrid once again? Sorry, remind me.
Osterrud. But
Yeah.
he had
I
some
guess it was
chances
a
to win
decent
it.
match, but
Like it was
I
the
mean,
quarters and
you're only saying that because he beat Brandon Nakashima. Let's be
no,
be honest to
no, no,
yourself,
no, no,
Ash.
no.
Be
I don't
honest to
think so.
yourself.
I don't think that's why. Uh-huh.
I think that's why, because he actually hasn't done anything impressive in the last 2 weeks, I think, or 3 weeks. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion. I mean, it just got to a point where I don't think he's going to suddenly restore his game on clay. Like, sure, he wins 2 matches, good for him, but yeah, I'm waiting for another event for him. Let's just say that.
Okay. Yeah. I think I mostly agree, but Medvedev can be a bit of a surprise sometimes, and I'm curious to see if that holds up, and if Musetti routines him tomorrow, or how that match looks like, and what it would be like against Fils or Zverev. Because he's kind of performing well in the events you don't expect, like you're saying, Indian Wells, Madrid, here.
In Madrid, I guess you expect, but yeah, I still don't think that was like, an amazing performance from him. He beat Juan Manuel Cerundolo and Brandon Nakashima.
Yeah, it was a good draw for sure.
And it's been a pretty good draw here as well. What was that, John? It was depression. So who was more depressing is what we were doing there. Joao says that Medvedev is performing better and better on slower surfaces. I think it's more the balls as well. Like in Miami, just set the balls there. Just can't generate pace with them. Whereas Indian Wells was a little more suitable. But yeah, of course, he has a lot of good like defensive skills to fall back on. But I don't think it's enough against people like Musetti, against people like Alcaraz, and yeah, these sort of guys that he'll be facing this event, who just have so many clay court options and who are creative magicians, and he's he's just still kind of lost. Anyway, oh, so you kind of want to come back to it. That's what you meant. Okay, so with the depression thing, yeah, because for a while, I mean, Steph got out of it. But yeah, I guess now that he's head to heads with Rune, feels are getting even worse. Maybe it's Tsitsipas again.
Yeah, I mean, he's in danger of falling outside the top 20. So for him, this is like a real bigger decline in a way.
And Medvedev has achieved more. So
yeah,
like, I would love him to have one more slam, for example. I think he really deserves it after all this effort, right? But the problem is that I guess if he doesn't, it's also fine. He's already been number one. He's won a slam. So it's not like his career is a major disappointment. Whereas for Tsitsipas, I think his career, what he has achieved so far, for him, it's going to be a major disappointment. So if he doesn't win anything from here, and by anything, I really mean, I don't know, other 1000s at Monte Carlo and slams, which it looks very unlikely right now with his matchups against Alcaraz, Fils, Rune, probably soon Sinner, probably soon Fonseca being what they
Draper too. Yeah, there's just a lot of players right now.
Has he played Draper?
Yeah, twice. 2-0 Jack. I think last year Cincinnati and then 2022 Canada. Which is like way back in time, but still, yeah.
That shows you how much I pay attention to Tsitsipas as well right now. But well.
Before the Rune, before the Felix match, he played Steph and he won that like 7-5 in the third.
Oh, okay. Yeah, of course I remember the Felix match, but probably more so for the controversy than actually the what happened on the court there. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point we can probably wrap it up. Ended up previewing stuff, reviewing stuff, and also talking about some random things for a while, which was just as fun. Yeah, thank you, Vansh. And let's enjoy the action in Rome tomorrow. The biggest day on the men's side probably, and especially that Sinner Cerundolo match. That's the one that people will be watching out for. But Fils Zverev as well. So yeah, excited for these two.
Likewise, and it should be fun. See what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, so thank you to everybody, and we'll see you guys soon.
See ya.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.